be hosted, flow into it. This is a very exciting day as the seniors have waited long and hard for a dedicated location where they could come and socialize and play cards and do things and have a location that was truly theirs. And so it's a very special day for them and for the veterans and really for the entire city of Maricopa.
I just also want to thank the past and present councils, city managers, everybody, mayors. I don't want to leave anybody out, council members. But without all that prior, today wouldn't have happened. And as I said earlier, without our veterans, we wouldn't be here today. And again, God bless you and thank you for getting us to where we are and living in this greatest country in the world.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, Luis Vila, Communications Coordinator for the City of Maricopa. I'm reporting right inside the brand new Sprouts grocery store with the Senior Project Superintendent, Mike Kelly from AR Mays, who's been working on developing and constructing this very grocery store coming to our community in the very near future. Hi Mike, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the construction process and how everything's gone thus far?
It's actually been a real pleasure to work with the City of Maricopa. From the front office to the building inspectors, fire marshal, fire inspectors, it's gone really smoothly. So here in Maricopa, you guys have done a great job and it's been a great project so far.
And I know some people may be worried that the shelves are empty right now. So when can we expect the actual groceries and everything to be delivered?
The next big step for us here inside the store is going to be to start stocking dry goods. So things are going to start happening real quick.
Okay. Final question. Everyone's really want to know, when is Sprouts going to be open?
Well, I hope you're here the 25th so that you can get your tuna salad.
I will definitely be here, and I hope to see all of you here. For all the latest developments and great things happening with the City of Maricopa, please check out what'snewmaricopa.com. Last week, the City of Maricopa came together for the largest community cleanup campaign in the city's history. Individuals from all walks of life rallied and walked throughout their community, picking up litter in a vow to keep Maricopa beautiful. We received dozens of emails from groups showcasing their efforts to keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour-only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There'll be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the City of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even the decades in the making, with City Council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
on and then make
the City Council regular meeting on Tuesday, November 16th. Is it 16th? 18th? I can't read it today. I apologize. 16th, 2021. At this time, we'd like to call the meeting to order and invite Pastor Gary Williams from Journey United Methodist Fellowship Church to please give us our invocation, after which we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Amber Learman. So if all would please rise. And Pastor, if you would press the button on that, there you go, that speaker, that microphone, then that'll help us all. Thanks.
Please join me in an attitude of prayer. Holy One, we gather here this evening to conduct the business of the city of Maricopa. In so doing, we invite your presence and your wisdom. Guide our council's thoughts as they may guide this city along the best path possible. Grant that they might hear the issues before them. Grant them and us the wisdom and courage to know and do what is right and good and true. May they speak out when it is right to do so, and listen patiently and respectfully when it is time to listen. May the spirit of community, the spirit of justice, and the spirit of love guide their decisions. In the name of all that we hold sacred and holy, all that is good, right, and true, we ask it. May it be so.
With liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Williams. We appreciate it. That'll take us to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the roll call.
Councilmember Learman.
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi. Here. Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Vidiello. Here. Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Smith. Here. Mayor Price.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you for being here. At this time, we'll move on to item 3, which is proclamations, acknowledgments, and awards. We have none at this time. That'll take us to a report from the mayor, and I will turn to my city council members for their input at this time. So, council, yes, Councilmember Learman.
I just wanted to thank everyone who organized the Veterans Parade. It was amazing. The flyover was surprising and awesome. But the best part of the day for me was the veteran luncheon, where I got to stand next to veterans who honored our flag, and it gave me chills. It was amazing and beautiful. So thank you to all of you who did hard work in planning and organizing that event.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Anyone else this time? Yes, please. Yes, Councilmember Marsh.
Yeah, I had a busy week, a couple weeks. On November 6th, I too was at the Veterans Parade. I got to chauffeur in my little smart car a respected Pinal County veteran, Mr. Barry McCain, a relative of John McCain. And he told me stories that curled my toes the whole trip. It was a great parade from the inside as well as from the outside. On November 9th, I attended a Pinal County Water Augmentation Authority board meeting where I urged the board to focus on the Biden bucks, the infrastructure funds coming from the federal government. And so they did. And I got a report back from their Washington, D.C. staff, their lobbyist, with some advice on how we can get more Biden dollars. I passed that on to the mayor and city manager. On the 10th, I attended the MUSD Veterans Breakfast, and they put on the empty table ceremony. And if that doesn't bring tears to your eyes, nothing will. That was an amazing ceremony, very well done. Excellent event. Congrats to MUSD. On the 12th, I attended the Pinal Partnership Breakfast, where we heard an update from Lucid Motors. And the interesting one to me was the story of Rio Tinto's new copper mine going in, I believe it's north of Superior, that's going to bring in an ore body that's 7.5 miles down. And that's essential for America's growth in the electrification of automobiles and so forth. On the 15th, I attended the Age-Friendly Committee, where I heard Ron Smith's proposal for a new senior-focused data system, integrate all information in the county about resources available to seniors. And it sounds really good. I want to work with him on that. Also on the 15th, City Council got a briefing from Bob Holmes and his partner Anna on federal activities. The focus was, again, on the infrastructure funds coming out of the federal government. And I do urge the city manager and staff to keep a major focus on bringing as many of those dollars to Maricopa as possible. Our infrastructure needs it, and our taxpayers don't need to pay it. We can get it out of the Biden bucks. And that's about it for now.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else, council, at this time? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one fun thing to share, in case you didn't know, and I talk about it often in terms of arts, because arts is such an economic aspect of a city, and we have a phenomenal diversified group of artists in the city of Maricopa, from theater to visual art to music to spoken word, just a plethora of things to do. And the question is always, how do I find out about these things? And so Councilmember Learman and myself had a meeting with staff, and we were really just fascinated by them, because within minutes, they helped us create a calendar that is all arts calendar. And if you go to it right now, it's empty because they just created it. And all of the art communities have to submit their art events to populate the calendar. But if you love arts and you want to know at any point in time after it gets populated what's available to me this month, this week, this day, next month, in regards to a variety of different arts, write down maricopa-az.gov/arts. And you should be able to find out anything that's happening by, like I said, any of the visual groups, any of the performing arts, theater groups, the high school performing, any charter school performing that's open to the public, anything that's open to the public that you might want to go see. You should be able to find it on this calendar as long as it is submitted and approved by the art committee that we have here at the city. So for the first time ever, an all citywide art calendar. So and by the time we got done with the meeting, we were so thrilled that it happened in a matter of 20 to 30 minutes. I said, Amber, what other problems can we have them solve that fast? Well, we went on. We didn't have them do anything else. But anyway, fun stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
You're cheering me.
That's it. Councilor Manfredi.
Great couple weeks, done a bunch of stuff, bunch of webinars and all that cool stuff. One of the greatest things that happened this week was there was a company that started their business last year here in the city of Maricopa during a pandemic, and it was Bahama Bucks, right? So it was pretty cool. We got to go this year on Saturday. They had their 1-year anniversary. So these are two of the greatest people, Collins and Adelaide. I love them. I think they do a great job. They hire a bunch of kids, and sometimes they're overstaffed, but they don't get rid of kids. They bring them in and they work, and it's so if you can support those guys, let's get out there and do it. Bahama Bucks. And then on Saturday at 3 o'clock, I showed up at a music festival, and I was like, I don't know how good this is going to be, right? And I was there, but geez, it was great. My wife had me dance a little bit. I don't dance very much, so there you go. But don't stand next to him because you're going to look bad dancing. Because when Henry starts dancing, you just go sit down, right? Because it makes you look bad. On the November 20th coming up is the Fall Family Festival. It's with Relay for Life. So Relay for Life used to go all night and walk around the park and things like that. They're doing it a little different this year. And on the 20th, they're having a Fall Family Festival. It's at Copper Sky, so head out, check that out. And then, wait, there was something else I forgot to mention. Oh, next Thursday for Thanksgiving, Maricopa Pantry will have a multicultural dinner of sorts over at Copper Sky. Rain or shine, doesn't matter. They'll have the inside already. And so it's kind of like a potluck, but if you don't have anything to bring, it doesn't matter. You can still go. And that's a free Thanksgiving dinner for anybody that wants to come. Cool.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Wade.
Thank you, Maricopa, for thinking about our children. Appreciate that very much. The override passed with 76 votes to spare. And yeah, that's a good thing. And as I mentioned in the school board meeting the other day, it wasn't just that the override, override passed. It created harmony within the community. And I was really appreciative of that because it was a possibility that it would not have done that. But people rallied and they came to play, they mailed in their ballots, and the kids benefit. So I just want to say thank you, Maricopa. Tell your significant others thank you, and everybody else thank you, and hug a kid for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else at this time? Okay. I'll just briefly, a couple things here, just so you know, Representative Teresa Martinez has been selected by the Pinal County Board of Supervisors and sworn in to replace former Representative Brett Roberts from here, and had the opportunity to meet with her today. Gave her, well, I guess we'd say we gave her a long lecture on the importance of legislators helping us do our job to protect cities and towns, and therefore you all, when it comes to taxation and other issues that are constantly under attack while at the state legislature. So we had a wonderful opportunity to meet and discuss and set forward times. We also have legislation that we want to run that should make doing business in the state much easier, and it's universal. She actually commented that, we don't present very political things, and that's not our goal. Our goal is to find problems and solve them and move forward with legislation that helps all 91 cities and towns in Arizona. So that's what we have started down that road. So we appreciate her for that time and look forward to working with her as well as our other representatives at the state legislature here this upcoming session that starts in January. At the same time, we also did have a congressional update and have a lot of information on the transportation infrastructure bill that recently passed out of Washington. Regardless of where you fall politically, it doesn't matter to me. What matters is the fact that the way things play out in Washington, sometimes the leverage is really important. We happen to have a senator that held out her vote for a lot of things, and so there is a ton of money coming to the state of Arizona through that infrastructure plan. And that's really good for us because as it is allocated towards the state of Arizona, we can do our part to submit for those dollars and try and receive them and then therefore locate them here. And again, when we're talking about transportation, we're talking about roadways and freeways and, you know, all the different things that we stand in need of. That also includes, you know, water and wastewater projects and other things that we're all trying to work on. So again, you know, we hear the infrastructure complaints on a regular basis. This is how it works. This is how you grow. It's also how you solve these problems, is that you do it over time and you do it while and in conjunction with things that come along. So this is a great opportunity for the taxpayers of the city of Maricopa and the Pinal County region to really benefit from Washington deciding to put out this money. You know, agree with it or disagree with it, it's coming regardless. And so I'd rather it come to us, and therefore you all don't have to pay as many taxes to get the things fixed that you want versus going to another state, and we would lose out on that. So that's a good thing. And then last but not least, I just wanted to continue to make you aware that also, as you may or may not know, that every decade we do a census here in this country as per the U.S. Constitution, and with that census comes a redistricting. And redistricting in Arizona is done by a independent redistricting commission. It means it has 5 members, has 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and an independent is the chair. And the idea is to go through both the legislative districts as well as the congressional districts and try and reallocate them according to a variety of rules and mandates that they have to follow. Again, you can argue all day long whether it's fair or not, but that information is out there on the redistricting site. I suggest and encourage you to look at it. I guarantee it affects all of you. Some of the things right now are that, you know, from a legislative district standpoint, we are bundled together with other communities of interest. But when you look at the congressional district, that may not be quite the case. We are actually divided right underneath Ak-Chin. And so those that live underneath the Ak-Chin border may be very disappointed with where you are ending up. I suggest you go to the meeting and, you know, argue that and say that's not something that you see as being a community of interest. I would argue that community of interest is this entire area together. So something you may want to look at, but I just wanted to give you the heads up there. And it's something that we're doing behind the scenes. I've testified already at it. We'll do so again and continue to work with this group as we try and make sure that we get the best, most fair district we possibly can, so that we feel like our interests are heard and that we're represented at the congressional level in Washington, D.C. So that concludes my topics at this time, the report. So if there's no one else at this time, we'll move to the report from the city manager. Nothing at this time from the city manager. That'll take us to the call to the public. At this time, I invite the public to come forward. I have 3 speaker cards. I'll first go to those, and after those, I'll invite anyone else who'd like to come. I do have some speaker cards also that have been filled out for an item on the agenda. When we get to that item, I will go to those cards and call you up so that you have an opportunity to speak to that particular item that you wish to speak on. So let's start with the call to the public, and we'll start with Dr. Tracy Lotman. Please come forward. And again, just by way of reminder, we give everyone about 3 minutes, and there's a little timer up there, so just want to be fair to everybody, okay? Thanks. Go ahead. I don't think your mic is on there.
Just
perfect.
How's that? Okay. Thank you, Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Smith, council members. My name is Tracy Lotman. I'm the superintendent in Maricopa Unified School District, and Council Member Wade stole my thunder. The override passed. Voters approved it, right? But it's worth saying twice. The voters approved the continuation of the 10% M&O override in MUSD. And each of you here on the City Council advocated in all manners, large and small, public and private. And you gave your time and energy to an effort that maintains low class size, continues our investment in technology, and allows us to operate the RAM Academy, which gives kids a second chance at graduation and a great future. This effort also allows MUSD to remain competitive and on an upward trajectory. It's a privilege to work in MUSD, because we have a city that recognizes the importance of having a vibrant education system in its boundaries. And on behalf of I think our count today, on behalf of the 8,123 students and 900 employees and 5 board members, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Dr. Lopman. Appreciate it. This time I'd like to move to Mr. Brian Ott.
So, mic's still on? Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. First of all, I wanted to give my prayers to the family members of the 2 teenagers that occurred. So I know all our prayers are with them. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the future, I just wanted to know if the city couldn't use a county hearing examiner to determine land action use instead of council deciding on it. I think it would be a good thing. It would free up council's time for better use and not have to make the decisions based on ones that are going to occur this evening. Just my opinion. I know it would be taking a lot of authority away from the council, but I've seen councils in other states do this, and it turned out to be a good thing, but like I said, it does take away a lot of the authority from the council. But at the same time, using a hearing examiner, it doesn't create too much chaos. I know you've heard all this before, but I'm one person. I can't stop progress, nor would I want to. I understand we have to have progress, but the only thing that I ask is with the many small little HOAs that are going to be occurring in the city limits, I would just like to make sure that the city considers public safety first and foremost. And what I mean by that is police officers. That should be a priority with the way the population's growing. And if it's not, I'm sure it is with the mayor and the council members. I know it is. And the other thing, you've heard it before, roads. With the amount of the population is going to be close to 60,000 in the next 2 years. There's nothing we can do about it. It's a big city. I'm excited to be part of it, but roads, I know it doesn't come from the city, but like the mayor said, we have to, if we could ask the citizens to help and get a hold of these representatives in the county, I think it would help tremendously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Next, we have Ms. Peggy Chapados.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, fellow Maricopans. I brought a friend with me, Sparky the fire dog. So I'm here tonight to share a couple things with you, and Vice Mayor, I've got an event for your calendar. Just a reminder that Saturday, November 27th, which is also Small Business Saturday, please join us at the Leading Edge Academy on Porter Road for the Maricopa Main Street Marketplace Arts and Crafts Show. We've got a lot of local artisans that are going to be offering wares for sale. We range from $1 to almost $2,000, so come, you'll see a plethora, as you said, of arts. It's free, 10 to 3, Leading Edge Academy. The other reason I'm here tonight is on behalf of Maricopa Professional Firefighters, Local 4561. I'd like to tell everybody that on Saturday, December 11th, right here at City Hall, we're going to do the 10th annual Ride for Toys. It's a toy drive and a food drive, and all the donations will stay here in Maricopa, benefiting Maricopa families and Maricopa kids. Come on out. You'll have to enter off of Bolin, but you'll get to ride on a fire truck. Sparky will be here. We'll have a North Pole booth photo op. Our CERT members will be here. You'll meet some folks from Maricopa Fire and Medical. You'll hear about the new nonprofit organization, Maricopa Firefighters Charity, that's coming to Maricopa. It'll be a great day. Again, Saturday, December 11th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here at City Hall. Bring your non-perishable food items and your gifts unwrapped, new, and everything will stay here in Maricopa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's all the speaker cards I have at the call to the public section. If anyone else would like to approach the podium, you may do so now. Otherwise, I do have speaker cards for, again, other items on the agenda. We'll get to those here just a minute. Okay, seeing no one else, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public at this time. Thank you for your participation. That'll take us to the consent agenda. This is item 7 on the agenda tonight. This is item 7.1 through 7.10. Council, any questions on those items at this time? Okay, seeing no one, can I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Take the motion, take the second there. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. That'll take us through consent and on to item 8, which is the regular agenda, and this is for also a series of public hearings. So what happens when we arrive at these items and we get to a public hearing time? Public hearing time is an opportunity for the public to address us on that item and that item only. Again, as we get to 8.1, I have 3 speaker cards. We will go to those. And so we'll start with Rudy. If you'll kind of give an outlay of the item, I will read the item agenda here, in just a moment, and then we'll give some time to Rudy, at which point we'll then go to the speaker cards and anyone else who wishes to approach the council at that time. So this is item 8.1. This is PH 21-08. The Mayor and City Council shall hear a public comment regarding a major general plan amendment requested by iPlan Consulting on behalf of W Holdings to amend the general plan future land use map, case GPA 21-03, for approximately 995 acres from undesignated land use to master plan community, generally located at the northeast corner of North Anderson Road and West Miller Road. Rudy, take it away.
Yes, Mayor, council members. So before I open up for public hearing, I'll just do a quick presentation on the request, and then we could go for any questions or comments during the public hearing session. As you described, Mayor, this is a request to amend the general plan to designate an area that currently does not have a designation to master plan community. As it relates to the development process, this project is at step number 1 of a 5-step process. At this time, no application has been submitted for an annexation request. This is simply just a general plan amendment request. There's still 4 more steps that has to come through before it's even considered as an actual entitlement application to the City of Maricopa. If and when the process does occur for annexation, all state statute and city requirements will be followed accordingly. Again, the general plan land use request is to amend the general plan, the existing general plan land use from the undesignated on the left side of the picture, as you see, it's not designated, to the right picture that shows a master plan community itself, which the commission and staff supports the request of a master plan community land use as the most compatible land use for this area. So just a quick briefing of our city's general plan. The general plan is a statement of the city policy designed to achieve the citizens' vision, a framework for future decision-making, and a means of enhancing the quality of life. The general plan is not a tool to promote special interests. It is not a rigid document. It's adaptable. It's not a detailed policy or ordinance for specific properties or areas. It is not a capital CIP improvement plan document, and it's not rezoning. And in this case, it's not an act of platting or even approving an annexation request itself. In this case, this request is to acknowledge within our general plan that the pre-existing zoning entitlement for the county is again acknowledged as a master plan community. A little more detail on what a master plan community is intended for. It is for large-scale master plan communities over 160 acres. It does include a true variety of land uses of commercial, residential, and employment land use to meet the everyday daily needs of a community itself. It does have adequate open space, neighborhood-type facilities such as a church and school, and developments like this will be required to provide off-site infrastructure enhancements as necessary to offset the impacts, including needed roadways, utilities, and drainage infrastructure. The capital cost burdens of the city as part of this amendment also constitute the request as a major amendment. The context of the site expansion of infrastructure warrants capital improvements to areas such as full street improvements to Anderson Road, Miller Road alignment, and other nearby intersection improvements. As part of the next development stages, after annexation again, has been completed and a rezoning and platting process has occurred, a traffic impact report analysis is conditioned as part of this recommendation to be approved prior to approval of any platting or rezoning at that time. And as required by the city's zoning code and state statute requirements, all required advertisement notices that included newspaper notices, mailing notices, agency notices, sign postings, and neighborhood meetings were all completed, along with holding 2 separate P&Z Commission meetings, public hearings at different locations within the city, along with the required public hearing tonight as well. Further information can be found within Exhibit C of your report, and also within your staff report, you'll find that during the first held P&Z Commission meeting, we had several concerns from residents nearby that brought up public, which were all addressed by the applicant and presented at the second P&Z Commission hearing, which, if you refer to your staff report on pages 2 to 5, you'll see the adequate responses from the applicant itself, how those responses are presented to the commission. With that, the commission finds that the amendment is consistent with the general plan, and the land use proposed is the most compatible land use for the area per the entitled approved zoning of the county from 2005, that the balance of land uses with a master plan community designation is desired by the city and consistent with the general plan to increase the inventory of land within the future plan area, and the amendment will promote the growth in the city in an orderly manner to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare. I do want to make mention that there's a stipulation, number 1, on your staff report that states a Prop 207 waiver has to be signed before council approval tonight. We just want to make an amendment to that Prop 207 waiver is signed 30 days after council, if council approves this item for tonight. Mayor, council members, with that, I'll be more happy to answer any questions, but at this time, Mayor, council, if you can open the public hearing for any comments at this time. And the applicant is here to answer any questions as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council questions at this time? Or would you like to withhold at this moment? Okay. All right. Then we'll please invite the applicant up to make sure that they are ready to answer any questions. But I also want to invite the members of the public who are here and who have filled out speaker cards. So please, I'd like to invite Mr. Michael Berry to please come forward first and speak to this item and this item only. Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Berry. I live in Stanfield. I want to address the folks here regarding the train situation in Union Pacific. It's talking about 200 trains a day use that track that crosses Anderson Road and Casa Grande Highway. And then this is a significant part of the day of 24-hour period that's going to be blocked from emergency medical equipment, fire, and police. You're not going to have the coverage that we would want. I figure 200 trains a day is eight trains per hour and 3.5 minutes per train. And these trains are approximately 2 miles long with 4 engines on them now. And I just want to make everybody aware of the fact that this is a major concern, should be a major concern for your operations, as developments have to include some way to remedy this situation with the train traffic. And we had an accident at the airport, Outchin Airport. It took 25 minutes for emergency response to that area, and that didn't even include waiting for a train. The alternate route to get to Maricopa from Anderson Road is through Barnes Road, which is dirt road, all the way to White and Parker Road. It takes like 20 miles out of your way to get to Maricopa from the Stanfield area where we live on Miller Road. That's all I really have to say. I just wanted to make people aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate it. Would the applicant like to address that concern or like to address them all at the end? Okay. Miss Jackie Shields.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Anytime.
With regards to this, I wanted to state that it passed from the council members this last time, and we weren't really able to speak. Like, we were first able to speak, and then some information went across and questions were approached to the board, and then they spoke amongst themselves, and then we raised our hands to let them know that there was some misinformation out there that had just been given from one council member to another one, or is that a council member? They are council members too, aren't they?
You're talking planning and zoning.
Yeah, the planning and zoning, yes, sorry.
Planning and zoning commission.
Nervous.
All good, you're doing fine.
Okay, anyway, again, I'm learning how all this stuff works, so bear with me. But long story short, the information that was given from one person to the other two that had questions regarding what the things we had brought up, they were misinformed. And what we want to back this up to, they passed it by basically stating, well, this already went through. Oh, thank you. I apologize. That this went through in 2005, and that we can actually protect you guys better, and make certain that things are done correctly. So they were doing what they thought was best, and I totally appreciate that because, well, we do need your help, and we do need people to listen. So what I want to get to is, I'm listening to what they're saying, but it's to simplify all of this. I've lived in this subdivision since 2004, okay? And I was told of a development that was going to be coming in. However, what has essentially happened in all of this is that development was squelched in 2005, and I have since learned that it was squelched because of floodplain. Now you have somebody else with another plot of land that has come in and approached that same farmer that had agreed to sell and do this subdivision in 2005 and said, hey, I have this land over here, and guess what? I have floodplain, and you have our 100-year water. So let's get together and make this a master plan community. And that's really, to simplify all of it, it's a heck of a lot larger. There's a lot more money. The roadways are bigger. The houses are smaller. The land lot sizes are extremely smaller. Everything is completely different. No matter what they want to say about it being back from 2005, it is not. It is not the same. End of story. And that's what I'm trying to clarify, is that this is a lot larger than what had been presented. And what it comes down to is one farmer has floodplain right, the other one had water, 100-year water, or so thought he has the 100-year water, and that's how we're standing here today. And I just wanted to make that clear. And I think if the other two gentlemen that were asking the questions, if I could have said, hey, then I think they would have maybe made a different decision. I won't speak for them, but I felt like their questions, again, their hearts were in the right place, but I don't think they really understood the simplicity of why we're standing here today. Okay? Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you guys understand the information that's coming next about the water and the roadways, and I know you guys hear this stuff all the time, but we would like to see, if it has to come in, let's just make sure it's done right, and let's try to make the lot sizes larger and houses, let's do some bigger houses on some bigger lots that sell for a lot more money. We've discussed that. Let's plan for something like that than squeezing everybody in and having a huge population. We can get dollars out of $1 million+ homes. All right?
Thank you, Jackie.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Next up, I have Dave Klingensmith. I pronounced that right, Dave?
Meeting. My name's Dave Klingensmith, and I reside at 34560 West Joe Blanca Road in Stanfield. And I understand this meeting's about changing the zoning on the 995 acres of property to assist in the 1,886 acres of proposed master plan community. But I feel it's very important to discuss groundwater and its demand at the very beginning of the process before any zoning changes. First, I would like to correct iPlan Consulting on water usage and farming. At the last meeting, they said farming uses more water, and that's kind of a little misleading because farming was using a lot of CAP water, CAP water, a little bit of groundwater, but now with CAPs going away in a master plan community, you're going to be using all groundwater, and they've used not as much groundwater in the last couple decades. Santa Cruz Water Company Global Water has a designation of assured water supply that was modified by the Arizona Department of Water Resources, WER, issued in March 1st of 2013. The total property of 1,886 acres for the proposed master plan community and surrounding area is not, I repeat, not included in the Santa Cruz Water Company's Global Water Assured 100-Year Water Supply certification issued by ADWR. The property was not even thought of at the time when they went through their certification. Therefore, water cannot be pumped from the ground on that 1,886 acres and surrounding areas. Santa Cruz Water Company would need to create a new service water area with a new designation of a 100-year assured water supply from ADWR. We all know ADWR has stopped all new designations of assured 100-year water supply certifications for new planned communities. And that was Pinal County's problem with the same property when they slated it to be zoned for community development. And the big problem is water. Right. I quote ADWR from their website. The days of utilizing native groundwater for development in Pinal County are over. It's done. ADWR will not approve new assured water applications seeking to utilize groundwater within Pinal County model domain. And that's dated June 28th, 2021. That's a direct quote from them. EPA and ADWR estimated groundwater demand for the proposed 6,000 plus homes of master plan community to be greater than 3,164 acre feet per year. That's greater than 1,031,490,000 gallons per year. After talking with ADWR and looking at the projected groundwater model, most domestic wells in the area will be dry in 5 to 10 years. I understand the city wants to be first, that no city wants to be first to say that they are in a groundwater shortage. But I say you need to take the bull by the horns and use it to your advantage. The future of Maricopa and surrounding communities is on you to zone and build water smart. Keep properties, especially in that area, at 2+ acres each per home, and cut groundwater demand by 83.3% over the proposed Santa Cruz Ranch 6,000 plus homes. Groundwater belongs to the people. It needs to be treated as a finite resource that it is. I ask that you don't get information about Pinal County groundwater from third parties. Look at ADWR's webpage under Hot Topics and Pinal Groundwater Water Supply Updates. It's very important. They're it's very short on water, and they're very boisterous about it on their webpage. And I think when you going to do those lots, and time's probably up, but you need to look at that and make them larger so that you can conserve the groundwater that's available to you. There's not there, and I don't know that you'll be able to get the 100-year for it, but we can go from there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. Before I call the applicant up, anyone else like to approach the podium at this time? I just had those 3 speaker cards. Okay, I'll go ahead and call the applicant up, and if you'd like to rebut or tell your side of the story or whatever you want to do.
Certainly.
Just giving everybody a chance here.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Price, Vice Mayor, and members of the council, city staff, and the public. My name is Jason Sanks with iPlan Consulting, 3317 South Higley Road in Gilbert. We are the applicant on behalf of W Holdings, and staff obviously presented the facts of the request. It's a land use case. It's a general plan amendment case. It's not rezoning. It's also not platting or final development plans. And I believe that the public has raised a number of good points, and we have been discussing those points at length since dating back to August when we had our neighborhood meeting, and then we had the 2 P&Z hearings. The first P&Z hearing really was a fact-finding mission where we gathered many public comments, and then we responded to them at the second P&Z hearing, and they were deliberated at length by the commission, and at which time they still acted in favor of the project. And we appreciate both their support and staff support thus far. I wanted to address specifically the concerns that were brought up today. The concern in regards to the train traffic and emergency services is a new item that's been brought up tonight that we hadn't had brought up before. I do want to reiterate that we do not currently have formal design plans in front of you, right? This is a land use case, it's a land use map change, and the consideration is what's the most logical land use designation for a piece of property that's 990 acres within the city of Maricopa's land use map designations, and that would be master plan community. At the time that we do have final design plans, city planning, engineering, traffic engineering, and then the various emergency services related departments will take a look at the project and make responses and recommendations at each department and division level, and those will be brought back to you with a recommendation. So solutions that are needed to be put in place at that time will be brought in front of you so that we don't create emergency services problems in the future. So we will go down that road and resolve those problems at a later date. Good point. Second point is in regards, there was a discussion point made about somehow trading water rights for flood control. I've spoken at length with W Holdings, who's held that property for many years now. There was no such exchange of some sort of a water right flood control thing. What was brought up at P&Z at the second hearing was that the levee that's in place on the west side of the Santa Rosa Wash was the solution. That maybe at one point in time was thought of as a solution, but after Katrina, it was decided that the levee was no longer a proper solution. What's materialized since then is that not only is there a levee, but what would be proposed would be a below-grade channel adjacent to the levee on the west side that would capture any overflow in the event of a storm event and the levee were to fail. So that is the current proposed solution that would be reviewed by City of Maricopa and their engineering team, rather than us going back to Pinal County where we already have zoning approval for the project. So there's a little bit of this back and forth because the project has zoning approval for a master plan community already. It's on the books since 2005. W Holdings would rather develop in the city of Maricopa. That's the reason that they're here tonight. And the city of Maricopa has the opportunity to take control of the project, assert what its development intent and direction is, and make sure it's done the way the city of Maricopa wants it, rather than what would occur perhaps in Pinal County. So that is what was the crux of the P&Z recommendation at their last hearing to you, was that they wanted to see the project in the control of the city rather than it to remain in the county. So I wanted to address that, but it was another good point on behalf of the public. In regards to not changing the zoning or changing the zoning, again, I want to reiterate this isn't a zoning case. So I know it's on the public record and many of us already know it's not a zoning case, but I wanted to make it clear that as the applicant, we have not filed a rezoning case at this time. The project still would need to be annexed into the city of Maricopa and subsequently rezoned in the context of what we hope will be a successful land use change tonight. With the groundwater concerns that the gentleman spoke of, I wanted to reiterate that our intent was not to mislead P&Z nor the public in regards to residential use. We're going to use less water than agriculture in the sense that I was delineating between cap water and groundwater. What I was saying is it's a known fact that residential land uses use approximately 1/3 of the water of equivalent acreage of agricultural uses. How they source that water is different at this current time, but that's changing as we get less and less cap water. And through Global Water's network, the provision of water services to this project would be brought in from a wider range of resources and wells across their distribution and acquisition network, rather than it completely being locally sourced on site. Their distribution network is much broader than just our project's boundaries. So that's what I said to P&Z, and that was a fair statement, and I believe staff would generally concur, and so would Global Water. So I just wanted to clear the record on that. And the last item I'd just like to say is tonight's land use change request, from it being basically undesignated to master plan community, is consistent with your general plan. Even the gentlemen and the folks here that have spoke this evening, their property is actually designated master plan community as well as the 900 acres immediately to the east of them that's already in the city of Maricopa. It's the new 995 acres that's adjacent to that to the east, which we're just asking for the same land use designation that is contiguous to our borders. And that's master plan community. Again, it allows for a wide range of density and housing types. Could be large homes, could be small homes, churches, schools, commercial, and employment districts. It's a broad category with the intent that when you have large parcels of land, it gives the city a great amount of flexibility to develop and within the zoning ordinance and other things to meet the goals and policies of both the general plan and other policies that the city has set forth. So we're seeking your support tonight. I'd be happy to answer questions from council, and if you believe I need to further elaborate on anything the public has said, I'd be happy to.
Council, questions at this time? Again, this is the public hearing, so feel free to ask questions. The next item is the resolution, at which point you'll be asked to make a decision. So just so you know, yes, Councilor Wade.
During your public meeting, did you have what you would consider a reasonable turnout of the community?
Through the mayor, Councilmember Wade, would we consider that there was a reasonable turnout?
Yes.
Oh, certainly, Mr. Wright. I believe it was a robust turnout from the community, in particular from the ranchettes, the residents of the ranchettes to the southwest of the project.
And there's several concerns, but what was their primary concern during that discussion?
If I were to just off the top four, something like that, it would be density, traffic, water use, and drainage.
And when you departed from there, was there a good feeling of camaraderie or coming together? Did they understand, did the community feel they understood where you were coming from?
I was asked, sir, tonight if I had worn my running shoes. Mayor and council, I believe that inherently speaking, they do live in a lovely community with 3.5 acre lots or 3.3 acre lots and ranchettes within Pinal County. They enjoy their lifestyle in their community, and the master plan community that we're proposing is in broad keeping with the city's goals and visions are going with land use. I think their concerns with density and traffic are notable and are pretty fairly standard when communities are brought in next to them. I would say, did we come to a consensus? I would perhaps say no, but I believe that we diligently answered their questions to the best of our knowledge at this time, and we will agree to continue to work with them through the multiple stages that would occur after this process tonight.
That would be my concern, is that they felt like they at least were heard. And if it came out either way, you were heard, they were heard, but either way, that would be my main concern, is that all parties at least felt that their point of view was respected.
And thank you, Councilmember Wade. I believe in your packet, we did provide responses to all of the concerns that we had taken note of at both the first P&Z hearing and provided our responses to those. So we did hear them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other questions, council, at this time? Yes, Councilor Manfredi.
Rudy, questions? You can have a seat, it's all right.
Mayor, council members, yes.
Thanks. This plan, what we're doing today is a general plan amendment, right?
That's correct.
When did we pass our general plan?
So we first passed it in 2005. It got readopted in 2015 by the voters.
Right. So the voters of Maricopa passed a general plan, and this works within their general plan, correct?
Yeah, and then every year we do a set of amendments to the general plan.
That was my next one.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so when if we pass this today, are they building houses tomorrow?
No.
Okay. So what's going to happen is then they're going to come back to us for annexation. Then we're going to go talk about zoning. Then we're going to talk about design and everything else after that. So this is the first step to bring us to the point of where we can discuss all the other stuff that people are concerned about today. Housing sizes, how many houses, what's going to go in there, is it going to be some commercial, is it going to be some residential? So to get to that point, to have that discussion, today is important to pass this part.
Correct. This
That's
is
the next step.
critical path to the step of
Three steps
discussing.
from now.
Yes.
Yeah. How long does it take, you think, before we get to the point that they're building houses?
If the applicant proceeds with the next steps of annexation plating, I mean, those can be within, a matter of 6 months to a year and a half or so, if all those come in together.
But it has to be perfect,
Yeah.
right? So with everything works the way it is, maybe a year and a half from now, they start digging and putting houses.
Right. And we go through the review process and assuring that adequate infrastructure design requirements are met by both the city and the county requirements as well.
So the state's going to look at the water.
Correct.
The county's going to look at the flooding.
Correct.
Everybody's going to look at everything before anything gets done.
Yeah, and that's
The first step is today.
that's if that's on the applicant's doing, if they proceed with the next step, ultimately, yes.
But if they wanted to, reality, they could just go under the county and do everything without us,
Correct.
right? And they already have the master plan approval through the county.
That's correct, yes.
So if we don't step in at this point, we have no say in what happens. And they can do not anything they want, but they can proceed with the county designation they already have.
Which may be a different type of design standards than what the city is.
Right.
Which we feel that
Totally
we're a little bit
different
more,
design
we feel that we're a little bit somewhat stringent on design and quality of life.
Right. So we put together a pretty strict zoning code and design standards that they don't have in the county. So street lights, sidewalks, a lot of that stuff gets done when they're inside the city, where when you're outside the city, it might not have gotten done.
It may be lesser standards than what the city standards are, yes.
Yeah. All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
Council, other questions at this time? We have someone that, Jackie wants to come back up.
Thank you so much for allowing me back up here. That's exactly the same exact point. What you were stating, is it Manfredi? Am I saying that? Ooh, Italian, like that. Hey. There we go. Thank you. So exactly what you just reiterated is how the last session ended, thinking that with passing this, you would be helping us. When in all honesty, he may be calling us a master plan community, but we're county. We are county, flat out. And we don't mind staying county, because the truth is Pinal County will not allow any of these type of subdivisions in. That's the truth, because of water being number one on the thing and flood zone being number 2. So we're actually stating to you that we are safer and we feel much more comfortable remaining county at this point. Although we appreciate and I know you're wanting to help, but I feel that we being left alone as county is in our best interest, to be truthful at this point in time.
Okay, so Jack, and just so you know, Jackie and Dave, they all came and spoke to me. We had a great conversation,
thank you.
so
It
thank you
was
very
wonderful.
much. And I guess I'm at the moment, I'm failing to be persuaded by that argument, and here's why.
Okay.
Is that as long as they have water access from a third-party provider through a DAWS, then the county will allow them to develop. They won't not allow them to develop. They absolutely will, because they have current master planned acceptance with half of their project now in the county, which has been approved. So there may be a different standard by which they ought to do today versus 2005, but as long as they have water access, they will allow it to move forward. So the fact of the matter is,
Copper Mountain, which is city of Casa Grande, well. That's who we're all on, is the Copper Mountain well.
But that's a whole different provider than who they're going to come through.
Well, who would they come through?
They're going to come through
On
Global
county.
Water through the
County would
DAWs.
come through Global Water.
No, they would do it through.
These guys
Yes.
would come through Global Water.
With
I
the county
understand that.
approval.
With county approval.
So-
But what
so-
I'm saying is, if we stayed county, period, then it couldn't be
You're 100%
built
right.
on, right?
Well, you're 100% right as per you, but not per them. They are a separate parcel of land than you. So the argument, and this is where I'm finding it's hard to be persuaded, that the argument for you to stay county is 100% correct. We're not talking about
I know we're
an
not talking
annexation
about
or
us.
zoning or anything else.
But
We're
I'm
talking-
saying that those parcels, we want them to remain county.
Right,
That's what we're trying to say.
Right, and so I take that under advisement, but I have to defer to the landowner who has a right to petition the city to say, I want to go through this process by which ultimately all of your concerns are addressed, right? You and I talked
Right,
about going
yes.
back to the developer and talking about all these things,
Right.
but they can't provide any solutions to you until they invest in solving all these problems. And ultimately, they're never going to get to that if they don't go through this process.
Right.
And so it would be unfair for a landowner to say to us, we want to come in, we have this land, we already have approval in the county and half in the city, which has been voter approved already by the city residents of this city. This is only the other half, right? And that's all we're doing, is we're meshing it together with what's already been approved by the voters of the city. Not by the council, by the
And
voters.
See, to us, what it looks like is you have 994 more acres being added to what was already there, and you have a 2005 water supply that's a lot lower, and flood zoning that is still an issue. So then that's really where our biggest concerns are. But I do appreciate what you're saying. And
again, we've talked
I
about
thank
this, and
you.
I'm
Yes,
going to
we
make a
did.
point here when we get to the next
I get it.
segment.
So maybe
but
through the other, I mean, I realize what you're saying, and it's just it's a tough one to chew.
Yeah. And it's certainly changed, and we understand that.
And we've also been told, and I don't mean to speak for any of my neighbors, so you guys can speak as well, but we've also been told that once you get past this, so this passes, that essentially it will just fly from there. And we've already, all of us looked at each other because we were told this could be 3 to 4 years out. In the very beginning meeting, we were told by the builders here that it was going to be 3 to 4 years out before we'd probably see the first phase go into play, considering all of these steps that have to, we just heard 6 months to a year and a half. Do you see what I mean? And that's where our fears come into play. You're going to start building houses in 6 months to a year. Oh, really? You didn't take care of the flood zone. You didn't do anything with the roadways. We're going to be stuck now behind subdivisions and railroad tracks and bad roads and, all of our wells that we have that are irrigating. Again, I'm not opposed to development. We've discussed that, and I am not. But I am concerned that from this stuff, and if there's any reassurance that you can give to us that this isn't going to happen in a wrong manner, and we're going to have houses built in 6 months and twice the amount of traffic and behind railroad tracks, then awesome.
So let me
tell
call.
us that we can.
Let me call up
that's not gonna happen.
the applicant, because I think that you need to get clarification from them, because who you heard give that was our Director of Development Services, basically giving you a perfect timeline as to the question. Best case scenario.
Best case scenario. But that timeline changed.
But I
in the
don't
past
know.
3 months now, from
I don't know
3
of
to
anyone
4
that can build a
years.
railroad overpass and
Mr.
do
Mayor.
drainage and everything else in less than 18 months.
Well,
So,
yeah.
Mr. Mayor, it's critical that we stick to the agendized item, which is just the land use. We really can't have discussions on something that hasn't even been presented for public view yet.
But our general plan is to protect and give safety and peace and try to work through this, and I'm telling you, there's fear here. And I'm sorry, that may not.
So
but that's
let's call back up the applicant and let him rebut some of those issues, and then there we go.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor and Council, and City Manager. I'll keep it as in the bounds. The Director of Development Services was correct in stating what the process would be, and generally speaking, those would be timeframes related to a zoning case if you were to compact all the applications together. In the case of this very large parcel and the complexity surrounding it, it is anticipated that we would follow a somewhat longer timeline as presented at the neighborhood meeting. And she's correct. She's heard 2 timelines, and the more realistic time frame for a project like this would be what we presented in August, rather than the perfect scenario of some expedited, compressed timeline. So I would say it's more than months, it's more like years. Okay?
We had one more person in the back.
I just have a quick question. You talk about where you were going to get the water from Global Water. Are you going to get it from the north service water area or the southwest service water area? You're only allowed 22,000 something odd acre feet per year at build out in 2032 on the north side of town. I think you're allowed 1,300 from memory on the southwest portion of town. Now, if you're going to try to suck water from either one of those to feed this development, now, what are you going to do when you build out in 2032 on the north side of town?
Well, I would let the applicant address that.
That's all I was curious about.
Mr. Mayor,
You're going to have dire straits with water, and
I think it's difficult to speculate on a plan we haven't even been created yet. So when we talk about a spur-of-the-moment question to a staff member, how long it takes, we don't know, because we don't know what they're proposing to build. And to speculate on water and all this, that's not our objective here tonight. As was laid out, there is a time and a place for that, and all these will be addressed. But I just want to be careful that we have publicized a purpose tonight, and if we stray too far from that purpose, others may say, I didn't know that was on the agenda. So I think all these are legitimate concerns and questions. They can be addressed offline or when we get to that stage. But to speculate over where water's coming from, how much water, none of us on the staff have seen a plan. So we can't speculate on that or talk about that until we see a plan, and that's several steps removed from where we are tonight.
yeah, and I understand that, and I just think that water needs to be on the ground floor of everything when we start. So just as long as the topic is broached and you all understand that.
Yeah, so thank you very much
Thank
for
you
raising
both
that
for your
again.
time.
Yes.
Rick, thanks for that. And just to be clear, I was just trying to make sure everybody understood that this is just a first step in a very long process that's going to have a lot of steps involved in it. So that's what I wanted to make clear, is that without this first step, the other steps don't happen.
Yes, please come forward. And I don't have a speaker card for you, so if you'd state your name for the record, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angie Mall. I live on Macho Road in Stanfield in the South Santa Rosa development. And I just wanted to mention the applicant had said that they sent out letters to people within a certain, I don't know the amount of feet within the proposed development, and that they had changed the signs and the website and everything. Yesterday, as of noon, 7 hours before the meeting, it had not been changed on Anderson Road. For those of us that live outside of the mailing list, we didn't have any way to know unless our neighbors informed us. So just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. We'll take that under advisement with staff and see what we can do to make sure that gets corrected in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a question? No. Okay, that completes our time at this moment. Thank you very much for your participation. I know that there's still a lot to be said, and it's very frustrating based on the stages we have to go through, but as you've heard, once again, even the council wants to dive in and help to satisfy, the citizenry, and yet even we're constrained by legal premises to do so. However, that is not to say that, again, it's not important. Again, spoken personally to several of these folks, and we'll continue to do so. But that'll take us to item 8.2. At this time, all the speaker cards pertain to 8.1, which this is the resolution for such. Again, the resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Arizona, Maricopa, Arizona, finding certain facts and adopting the proposed major general plan amendment to the general plan of the City of Maricopa, Arizona, to change the land use from undesignated to master plan community on appropriately 995 acres generally located at the northeast corner of North Anderson Road and West Miller Road, as requested by iPlan Consulting on behalf of W Holdings in case GPA 21-03 Santa Cruz Ranch. So again, this is for discussion and action. Council, any questions at this time?
Mr. Mayor, we need to close the public hearing.
Yes, I did. Yes, we closed the public hearing. What's that? Okay, yes, we closed it. So that's why we moved on to 8.2. Okay, so any questions or concerns at this time? Yes, Councilmember.
I was part of the team that
Don't vote.
wrote the 2015 update to the general plan. And in that update, we envisioned a Maricopa that wasn't designed like the grid in the valley. North, south, east, west streets and going on forever. Instead, we proposed a Maricopa that was a set of villages, 8, 10, 12 villages, not just all on John Wayne Parkway either. We wanted to have stores and schools and churches and homes in a multiple village concept, where each village could have its own theme. You know, one could be tennis, one could be music, one could be a horsey community, etc. And the Anderson Russell project got approved here a couple of years ago, and I was part of that approval process. This project borders on that Anderson Russell project, and it fits in with this multiple village concept that we envisioned in the general plan update in 2015. And I can see in the future this coming together to be a southeast Maricopa village that could thrive and strong presence given global water supply, given the influx of people into the state. I think it would be healthy for Maricopa to approve this general plan update to extend the master plan community and to ensure a future rich village in southeast Maricopa. And I would hope that the Ranchettes would join in that village eventually. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else this time? Like to make a comment? I will comment on the fact that, again, I said I would do so. Again, appreciate the citizens here tonight, and I certainly understand the fears that go with the philosophy that this is the camel's nose under the tent, you know, and that it's that proverbial, the door that never closes again. But that door was, nose under the tent was already opened over a decade ago. It could be moved forward now, it could be done now. And I have to add this, that I've been on this council for 10 years, and in that, to this day, we incorporated as a city in 2003, to this day, the city of Maricopa is still fixing problems that were approved by Pinal County because roads that don't lead to anywhere, or roads that don't align, or, you know, floodplain solutions that look good on a map in Florence, but no one ever came out here to investigate them and see them. The standards by which we operate now are very, very different. And today, even, again, 18 years later, we're still fixing problems from those approvals at the county. I have to say that, again, while I understand these things, I will give, you know, hopefully two pieces of reassurance, one to the developer and one to the citizens, is that first let me speak to the citizens in the fact that I say to the developer at this time, while we haven't seen anything, I do encourage you to continue to work with them and overcome their objections. Please give them the timelines that you can best give and be consistent and help them, you know, to accomplish these things. Again, I understand we're not at that point yet, but to the citizens and to the developer, I say, on the flip side, again, by bringing it into the city, you raise the standard. You raise that standard by which we won't allow things to move forward until the infrastructure is in, until floodplains are solved. You know, we just simply don't allow that. So that, just like I explained to you from the county from almost 18 years ago, that we're still fixing those problems, we don't move forward with allowing people to go forward without those problems being solved. So, you know, roadways and byways and overpasses and, you know, water attachments and all those types of things. They have to be solved, including traffic studies. They have to be solved and adjudicated before the city of Maricopa will issue permits for those things. So it really is a lengthy process. And so, again, I understand the philosophies and the feelings out there. I encourage the citizens to keep working with the developers, as I've spoken, because there are stages of transparency and bringing this back on multiple occasions. I equate that to economic development, right? When a hamburger joint wants to go in, people think it's so simple. The reality is it can take 8 to 10 years before that joint ever happens, because there's so many steps along the way by which somebody can say no, or something doesn't work, or something doesn't align. And so it really is a lengthy project still out by which there's a lot of problems that need to be adjudicated before we ever get there. I think that is very clear tonight in our discussions back and forth, as well as what the applicant is trying to do and what the citizens have raised, and points admittedly granted. But I will say this, that as I look at this on its face, okay, I have to deal with its legal premises. And the legal premise is one by which an applicant who has approval that their project is split in half approved by the zoning and the general plan approval of the citizens of Maricopa through voting a referendum, and the other half that's already been approved inside county. This is simply just saying, yes, it now extends and overlays, and that these now zonings, or well, excuse me, I don't want to say zoning, that this project falls under the same application usage. And so as I see this as something that in order to solve the problems ahead, we have to move forward to get to that stage. And then, like I said, there's a lot of things that can still fall through, but at this point, again, I have to defer to the legal side of things, and I have to defer to the very fact that we have a landowner asking for that unanimity, that symbiotic relationship that shouldn't. I don't think any of you would want your land split in half and be one place and one another place and have different standards. I think you'd want your standards to be the same. So that's what I see tonight. And so again, that's the statement I would choose to make. So, Council, can I have a motion, please, on this issue? I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this item at this time? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Thank you very much again for the robust conversation. We appreciate it. And that'll take us to item 8.3. This is another public hearing. This is the Mayor and City Council shall hear public comment regarding a major general plan amendment requested by Norris Design on behalf of Cowley Companies to amend the general plan future land use map, GPA 21-02, for approximately 100 acres from existing commercial, 90 plus gross acres, OS open space, 9 gross acres, and E employment, 1 gross acre, to medium density residential, generally located at the southeast corner of Porter Road and Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. Please take it away.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Byron Easton. I'm the senior planner. I'm going to be presenting this case this evening. As mentioned by Mayor Price, request by Norris Design. This parcel is currently a mixture of commercial, which is the majority, about 90 gross acres, open space, and a very small minority of employment. And the request is to change the general plan designation to a medium density residential for the future development of a residential community. This is located at the southeast corner of Porter Road and Maricopa Casa Grande Highway, just south of the railroad tracks. As opposed to the previous case that we just heard, this is going to be a 4-step process. There is no annexation involved. It's within the city limits. So this will be a general plan amendment followed by a rezone, followed by the pre and then final plat process. As you can see on the subject site map, this is about 100-acre site. As I previously mentioned, there southeast corner Maricopa Casa Grande Highway and Porter Road. I'm not going to read through this again, but this is very similar to Rodolfo's slide earlier about the intent of the general plan, and that it's not to promote special interest. It's not a rigid document. It's adaptable to meet the current needs of the city. This is a parcel that has been designated commercial for a long time, and it has not developed for a variety of site-specific constraints and other reasons, which has brought us to this point today. Medium density residential is it's a very familiar with our city, with our CR3 zoning, this supports a similar type of zoning with a density of about 2 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Just the reason why this is a major general plan amendment, anytime you're going from a commercial designation to any sort of medium density residential and it's 40 acres or less, it's going to require a major amendment to the general plan. The applicant did follow all of the requirements set forth in the city zoning code, including the advertisement for the public hearing meeting, notification meetings sent out to all residents within 600 feet. A neighborhood meeting was held. There was a 60-day public notice on the city website and direct notice to neighboring jurisdictions, and there were 2 public hearings held at 2 different locations. With that said, the P&Z Commission also found that the amendment is consistent with the general plan. It was also consistent with general plan and will increase the inventory of land within a given zoning district. The amendment will promote the growth of the city in an orderly manner to protect the public health, safety, peace, comfort, and general welfare. As previously stated by Mr. Lopez, we would also like to amendment to the stipulation in the staff report that within 30 days of council approval of this major general plan amendment, the applicant will need to submit to the city a signed waiver pursuant to the Prop 207. So with that said, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of major general plan amendment case number GPA 21-2, subject to the conditions of approval stated in the staff report and is amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Great, thank you. At this time, I have no speaker cards, but we are going to open the public hearing. If anyone wishes to approach the podium and tell us what's on your mind regarding this item and this item only, you may do so. Okay, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to item 8.4. This is a resolution 21-48, resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Maricopa, Arizona, finding certain facts and adopting the proposed major general plan amendment to the general plan of the City of Maricopa, Arizona to change the land use from commercial C open space OS and employment E to medium density residential on approximately 100 acres generally located at the southeast corner of Porter Road and Maricopa Casa Grande Highway, as requested by Norris Design on behalf of Cowley Companies in case GPA 21-02 Kelly Ranches. Again, this is for discussion and action. Council, this is your opportunity to ask any questions at the time. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a question, just drawing attention to Exhibit D. Exhibit D is the City of Maricopa land use analysis, and I really appreciate that this document was added to the package. A lot of questions are coming up in P&Z. If I'm not in attendance, I'm normally watching them or watch them after they're recorded. Many questions on the transfer of land use from commercial, from employment, from open space to residential. And so what this document does is it helps you understand, are you losing significant amount of commercial, a significant amount of business opportunity, significant amount of open space? And if you'll pay attention to that document, you'll notice that there's very little change. It compares 2016, the general plan, to 2021 in terms of acres, and I found that product to be very valuable, and I think that it would be to P&Z members as well if you haven't reviewed it. Pass that information on, because I don't think that you got to see it when you were reviewing it at P&Z, so I found that to be very valuable. And so I just wanted to draw attention to that because of the fact that so much conversation is going on regarding the transfer of one use to another use, and are we losing all of our business use, all of our employment use? And the answer is no. It's really balancing out in terms of how things are shifting and how things are working out in the community. And then I appreciate the conversation in terms of why we considered this for residential. So the conversation on the access and the troublesome access should you have commercial or employment in there and high traffic during those times of, and so I found that to be very valuable as well, and the transfer actually makes sense to me, so I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, I would accept a motion, please.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from the Councilmember Bob Marsh at the end there. Any further questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. That'll take us to item 8.5, which is the Mayor and City Council shall hear a presentation by Public Services Director Mike Riggs on the East-West Corridor. This is for discussion only. Mike, take it away. I can't apologize for my throat. I'm really dry tonight. I can't really talk, so apologies.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Riggs, Public Services Director, and we're here to share some information that city staff felt we wanted to run past you on the East-West Corridor. We'll start through this. We put an awesome video together a couple weeks ago, kind of doing a brief overview. We'll review that, and then we'll get into some of the details. We're going to go to the end. Maybe we're going to watch a video. Just act it out and hit some. Well, now we lost our hope. Would love to.
No presentation.
Without the slides? Okay, so the East-West Corridor, we put a slide together. We were at 90% completion as of last week, though. We were at 100% plans completed on the East-West Corridor. So we're super excited to be moving forward. We have done some interviews, and we've called Sunland Asphalt through a review of several large companies that are able to accomplish this job. We've asked Sunland Asphalt has been selected as the construction at risk manager. And what we do is you do that first. They'll overview, they'll bring us some pricing in. We'll decide if that's who we want to use or not. And if so, we'll continue to move forward with the project with that company. And if we don't, then we will look at a different direction on that. We are looking at starting this project in February to March. There is some permitting through Bureau of Reclamation, some other things that are kind of on a hold on there. So we're hoping right now we're shooting for February of March on this project. But the big one that the city staff thought we would share with you tonight is we are going to, basically this project includes putting a 4-lane bridge over Porter Road. There we go. It includes putting a 4-lane bridge over Porter Road, and then from Porter Road up to the Highway 347, State Route 347, it'll be a 4-lane parkway, which is a wide 200-foot lane road, and then eventually it'll be set up to actually add a 3rd lane in both directions, so it'll be a 6-lane road at some point once traffic deems necessary. But what we would like to share with you tonight is through this was going to be roughly an 18-month project. We've met with Sunland Asphalt, we've crunched some hard numbers on this, and if we're able to actually do a full hard closure on Furl Road and Porter Road during the phase of this project, we'll reduce the timeline approximately 5 months and knock over $4.1 million off this project price, and which the city staff felt that was a large enough amount that we're going to try to proceed with the full closures on Porter Road, and which will be just south of the subdivision there, and then up to Palo Brea. Santa Rosa Springs, thank you, Santa Rosa Springs Crossing. So Santa Rosa Springs will still have access to Porter Road back to MCG Highway. One of the concerns that's brought up is a safety factor. There is, every now and the Great Moon, a train will actually stop on Porter Road and block that intersection, which then causes a huge safety factor for those people that live in Santa Rosa Crossings. So what we had come up with, we worked with the landowners to the east, and we've come up with a temporary access road. We've worked with the fire and police with this. They've agreed to work with us on this and make this happen. This road will be set up to access from White and Parker, go through the old feedlot there, and come back out on Porter Road. This is not a road that will be open to the public 24/7. It's a locked, gated knockbox that fire has access to. So if a train does stop on that track, but there's emergency call, they can reroute and go off of White and Parker to get into those subdivisions. And they can deem whatever they need to, police and fire can, as far as emergency. I mean, but it'll be an all-weather road, 20-foot wide. We're using millings off of other projects, and we're actually building a 20-foot all-weather access road for police and fire for those 11 to 13 months this project will be going on. But that was the big thing we wanted to share with you today. I think it's with the financial savings that we're having with being the hard closures and knowing that we've come up with a secondary access to help on the emergency response, we felt like it was a good choice to move forward with that. Any questions?
Council questions. Yes, Councilman Manfredi.
Great job. Good presentation. Question for you, though, is if you hard close Furl, there's a couple houses on there, of course. There's Palabrea? Yeah, Palabrea on there. And then there's new construction happening middle way between John Wayne Parkway and Porter Road. There's construction happening there on housing that's going in. How does a hard close on Furl impact that?
Sure. Through Councilman Manfredi, what we're going to do is we've working with the actual construction site. The project will be done before that project actually goes online. Okay. So Sunland Asphalt will allow construction access into those sites for that project to be going. They will have access, for their own construction companies to be going in and out of there. So they've already are working with that developer on coming up with those solutions to work in there. The closure will be at basically just east of Mrs. Farrell's house.
Gotcha.
There, where the Palabrea ends, that's where the road closure will start. So Palabrea will have access going back to the 347. And then the road closure will be just past the Santa Rosa crossings. There is Molly's. There's we're already working to do temporary access to get in and out of her business there. So
no true impact on any residential houses?
Should not be. Okay. Other than the inconvenience of not being able to go around Farrell to Porter.
Councilman Wade.
I'd like to stay a little bit on the lines of that question. You said there would be no impact on the residents there, but Farrell Road essentially is going to be done, cut off. It's not going. You're not going to have access unless you live in that particular zone. Or across. If let's say they build some more houses across on the other side, but
There'll be full public access on Furl from 347 up until you see the GW on the map. So all residents will have full access. Visitors, delivery people, there will be no restrictions, no cutoffs whatsoever. You have the construction we're working with and the farmer. Otherwise, we're pretty much good shape, and we've already worked out arrangements with them.
How long will Furl be closed?
We're estimating 11 to 13 months once construction starts.
I was talking to one of the residents there, you know her. She was very upset that she would have to go onto the 347 down around the Cascaron Highway to get to Walmart now. But I said, it'll be better for long term.
Yeah, Mike, that's
correct. Yeah, those are discussions that probably maybe should have been addressed a few years back. I mean, we're aware of those discussions. Council's had those, with city staff has had those with that particular resident, and there may be some solutions once the development goes through, but as at this point, that is the only option she has.
What have we done in the way of, again, notification to residents and letting them know? I know you just got finished saying you've talked to several of them, but I mean, I am thinking again of Alma, who I know, but poor gal, she had to deal with, headquarters and the overpass construction and now right here next to her home. And then as I think about the citizenry, north of that, again, what notification have we taken? And then last but not least is, have we notified Ak-Chin as well?
No, Mayor, Ak-Chin has been in all the conversations. We have monthly coordination meetings with basically everybody around that area, excluding residents, but the key players in the landowners and that kind of stuff. So those have been aware. As far as I know, there hasn't been a mailing out to the 300 feet or 600 feet of this project. I still think we're in the planning stages. I mean, I think we're getting close enough now that that would be something, if that's what the process is, that I'm not aware of. So I could look into that and get you some more information.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. And I'd also appreciate it if you'd let me know some sort of a timeline. I know that we're talking about broadcasting this out to the citizenry as well, but I'd certainly like to, put that in an email to the chairman, Rock Chen, and let them know that expect the, Furl Road to be closed from this point to this point, from these dates to these dates, just to kind of give a heads up. So.
Mayor, thank you. We will do that. And also we are planning on, as soon as we can get a better timeline knocked down, we'll have VMS boards. The electronic message boards will be out on both sides of that road stating that there will be a closure starting at this date. And that'll be out as a minimum of 30 days before the project.
Yes.
Mayor, we know this would be somewhat of an inconvenience, but we need to remember that even if we tried to allow it to be passable, it's stop and go traffic, one lane at a time waiting, so it may actually be quicker to go around than try to go through. It took me 45 minutes to get to Casa Grande today because I got behind their paint truck painting the new stripes. 5 miles per hour for 18 miles takes a long time.
Understand. Any other questions or concerns, council, at this time? Okay, thank you, Mike. That completes item 8.5. We'll keep you up here, though, for item 8.6. The Mayor and City Council shall hear a presentation by Public Services Director Mike Riggs on Maricopa Express Transit. This is for discussion only.
Good evening. We are going to discuss the transit system through Maricopa tonight. We're pretty excited about this. City managers brought us up a few months ago to look into maybe bringing transit in-house. We currently have all the management services of our transit system is managed through an outside source in Phoenix. We've done our research on that and found it was worth looking into, so we wanted to present that to you tonight. A little background on the MET service. It started in 2008. It was basically a service going from Maricopa to the valley. It was not well used, and so the cost factor just got to the point it wasn't worth doing anymore. We've modified that transit system to 2011 to call the Comet, which we started doing in-house circular or a fixed route program, and we added the dial-a-ride, so people that needed to get to the doctor's offices or medical appointments, stuff like that, could actually call, that couldn't afford to drive themselves, and we would take them to those places and come back. Since then, we've modified again. We've changed the name to MET, which is Maricopa Express Transit. We are still doing the circular route. We are also doing the dial-a-ride with that. And so here's the kind of what the map is right now. That's the fixed route, or what we call the circular route. And those are the locations it stops. It's basically on an hour rotation. One bus is, and it picks up and drops off. We used to have a minimal fee on that. It was the point that because the ridership was so low, it actually wasn't worth the cost of collecting the money, time you counted and stuff. So the circular route is actually free to the citizens right now. So it's a great deal. If you jump on there and look, it is, I want to say 95% of the time it's on time and makes the loop. So if those of you live in those areas and those drop-off and pickup zones, it may be a great opportunity to look into. We also have our dial-a-ride still. This is kind of jumps into that. We're $1 cost for the dial-a-ride. It's within the city limits. You can call, make an appointment up 24 hours before or up to a week early, and to get that scheduled. And those, there again, they'll take you to anywhere you want to go for within the city limits. So it's a great program, extremely cost-effective if you're looking for a low-cost transportation. So. What we wanted to talk about with you tonight, though, was from outsourcing it to bringing it in-house. This kind of shows you our total expenditures, and this is a projection over the next few years. We're looking at the red is outsourcing it, and the blue is if we bring it in-house. So in the next bar chart over is the city contribution. Granted, you see the dollar amount difference. This is also a federally funded program, so the city's not out 100%. We're currently in an 80-20 with our growth that we're currently doing. Our next grant is probably going to be a 50-50 cost share, so it'll be an additional cost to the city to keep the transit program going. So we are looking at ways to help reduce that cost. this will give you an idea what we're looking at. So the annual savings, if we bring it in-house, we're projecting if we had it in-house this year, we would have had a $57,000 savings. And you can see as the years go on, because of our contract costs going up, that's what we're looking at on estimated savings if we bring it in-house. You know, there is some challenges with that. Obviously, we're going to, drivers are always the hardest thing to find. MUSD can testify to that. We've already visited with them, but we still believe that we can handle the drivers. We have in-house mechanics and take care of all the work. We're not sending buses to Phoenix to get worked on, so they're not out of service for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, the time they get transferred back and forth to Phoenix. I think there's a lot of wins to bringing it in-house. And we're at that point in size where we can actually then utilize it for other services. We felt within the community, if we also can manage it in-house and don't have to go through an outsource on that. So, but that's the big factor. We just recognize that there's a savings, and our suggested city staff is to bring that in-house and start doing that savings. Our contract is set up where we can do a 30-day cancellation at any time with them. ADOT's on board. That's who manages our federal grant program. So it's, in our opinion, it's a good time to make that move.
Council questions at this time?
I want to thank you for your presentation, and I think this is an excellent program for our community. I was wondering what population mostly uses this service? Is it youth? Is it seniors? What do we see the trend?
Through Mayor, Councilman Limmer, yes, it's across the board. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of youth use it during the school hours. A lot of the charter schools, the kids that live elsewhere, especially in the afternoon hours, will use it to transport back and forth to school. It's probably an average. It's probably equally shared across all age groups.
I know some of the youth I know take it to get to Copper Sky so they can play basketball, do programs over there. So again, I just see a lot of value in this program. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a question as it pertains to the previous slide on the cost savings. Does that take into account the replacement of I mean, I know we have a contract amount, right? But then we're going to bring folks in-house and therefore, pay our own employees and all the things that go with that. State retirement, taxes, et cetera, health insurance, those types of things. How does that compare then? Is that added in here to these cost savings? I mean, am I seeing that? We're replacing the outsourced contract value, but now we've taken on 3 new drivers or 4 new drivers, and that's still the cost savings, or how does that work?
Mayor Price, yes, that has all been included in. We currently pay our drivers through outsourcing anyways, and then we add a substantial management fee on top of that. That's where our biggest savings will be, is we're not going to have to pay that management fee. We already have staff in-house that can equally do that. I think the workability between the bus drivers and the city staff and be able to have that one-on-one contact will also help expedite and make things a lot smoother. But yes, all those cost factors were figured in. And we've actually added a half an employee more to our cost just to help with a substitute driver.
And then, Rick, would you explain the possibilities of what we might receive should Prop 400, 416, 417 come out positively out of the court? There is a transit position in there that said if cities in the Pinal County area had an existing transit system at the time, that they would receive funding from that on an annual basis. If I remember correctly, that was somewhere in the neighborhood of approximately $100,000 or so. Is that correct?
You are correct, Mayor. It's important to note that these numbers do not include that $100,000 a year. It's $100,000 a year for 10 years. We did not include it because we're waiting for the disposition of the ruling. I think it's also important to note that with our dollar ride, sometimes we have hours of gaps, but now we can use these dollar ride people to go pick up parts from the auto stars or other options. They can be used more for our youth programs in the summer, Copa camps, those type of things. So we can get more value out of the personnel we have as well, and have the buses and transport systems available for our uses, because we are now, in essence, renting for summer camps and other things, in this, so it gives us a lot more flexibility in those ways as well.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Wade.
What's the seat capacity and how many vehicles do we operate? How many seats in a vehicle and how many vehicles do we operate?
Through Mayor Price, Councilman Wade, there's 3 buses that are 24-passenger buses. There's also 3 minivans that are a 3-seat. Well, they're a 3-seat minivan with a wheelchair capacity. They do have a 2-seat fold-down bench. So we have a total of 6 units right now. The 3 minivans and the 3 buses.
How deep into Chandler was that north?
Well, in 2003, I don't know where that went. That was before my.
I was going on the.
Where? The park and ride. Yeah, that was the park and ride. So I'm not sure where that went. We currently don't go to Chandler right now. All of our fixed route, our dial rides are all within the city limits of Maricopa.
Mayor and Council, you may recall we have discussed, although we haven't moved forward yet, the possibility of connecting to Ahwatukee to their system with a dollar ride, but of course it'd have to be more than $1. But that's all under evaluation, and we'll come back to you at a later date.
Absolutely. Councilmember Learman.
I'm sorry, did you have the hours on here and I missed them? What hours?
Sure, we do. In the fine print there. I believe it starts at 8 a.m. and then we end at 4:30.
On our website.
Monday through Friday, and it is on the website. And it is critical that if anybody that's using this to go to the website, because we have been making some changes to the bus stops, to the locations, trying to find out what's the best route, where locations are better or not for people that are wanting to utilize the bus system or the transit system. So, but currently they do start at 8 o'clock and it looks like it ends at 4:55.
Any other questions, council, this time? Okay, that concludes our agenda item for this evening. Thank you, Mike, appreciate it. With no other business before us, we will be ready to adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Learman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We'll see you again here in 2 weeks.